everyone, this is Dr. Megan Buning with FSU Coach Interdisciplinary Center, and I'm here with Figure It Out Baseball. This is part 3 of a 4-part series that I'm doing about habits. So if you haven't watched parts 1 and 2 of a habit, I encourage you to go back and watch those parts so that this part will actually make sense. So in videos 1 and 2, we talked a little bit about what procrastination is. And then the first part of a habit is there is some cue or trigger that's going on around you or in your environment or within you. It could be a thought that is triggering you to avoid your task or habit that you want to get into, or it's triggering you to continue with a habit that you don't want to do. The second video talks a little bit about the routine. So the second part of a habit is after this cue or trigger comes through, you have a routine that you're following. If you see steps 1 and 2, you have a cue or trigger, then there's some sort of routine that you're following. So it's becoming aware of what you're doing after this cue or trigger occurs. All right. Now, step 3 has to do with reward. And so when we think about a habit and changing behavior or altering behavior, then or getting ourselves to do something that maybe we have been putting off, that procrastination piece, right? So this is going out to practice. And if you've been following my videos, my example is trying not to go in and watch so much TV at night, but rather do a little bit of work so that I can do some other things. Well, that's part 3 of changing a habit. Part 3 is reward. So you have to think about how are you going to reward yourself, or what is the reward for changing this behavior or this task. So for you, if you're thinking about avoiding practice, whether that's physical practice or mental practice, if you were to actually go out and do your practice or change your behavior or stop avoiding practice, what would be the reward for you? There's got to be some sort of reward. Now, it can be an internal reward, like I feel good about myself, or I feel better about this, or it can be an external reward, like you actually see progress, or somebody is proud of you, or you go and you let yourself get a treat. For me, I like pedicures, so I may go get my toes done. So when I think about my example of the behavior that I want to change, my habit, again, just to recap, is after I've worked all day, my family comes home, I prepare dinner, and then after I put my toddler to bed, I'm tired and I go lay on my bed and I watch Netflix, and then I go to sleep. And because of that, I have to get up really early the next morning at like 5 a.m. So maybe that's not super early for you, but it is for me. I need a lot of sleep and I don't enjoy getting up that early. So my cue for me is when my toddler goes to bed. After she goes to bed, I have a routine that I follow, and I know what it is. I clean up for dinner, wash the dishes, whatever, and then I go into my room, I change my clothes, I pull my blanket over me, and I lay down and I watch, and Netflix consumes me for a couple of hours, and then I fall asleep, and it's still pretty early in the evening. So if I want to change that pattern and I want to get into something else, I need to think about, well, if I do a little bit, even if it's 15 or 20 minutes of work before I go lay down and watch Netflix, because that's not a terrible habit. I have been working all day. I could just do a little bit more. Just like you may have practiced during the week, but you need to do a little bit more, or your coach is asking you to do some on your own. Okay. So my reward, if I can change my behavior, for me, as you see in the back, I may not have to get up early the next day. So if I can get a little bit more work done in the evening, 15, 20 minutes even, then I can sleep in some and I will feel better during the day. Or maybe I work longer because I know I have a deadline coming up and I have some other things that I want to do later in the week. And I go ahead and I just start knocking this work out late in the day during my Netflix time, then my reward may be something that I plan or schedule. That would be where I go get my toes done. So when you think about your practice, you're procrastinating, you don't want to practice, think about the first part of the habit. You know you want to change it. So what is going on around you that is stopping you and helping the procrastination? What's triggering you to procrastinate? Then follow the routine. Pay attention to, I find myself avoiding practice, going out and getting my own practice in. So what steps am I doing? Am I going in and am I picking up the video game and playing the video game? Am I jumping on my cell phone and just going through social media? Am I getting on YouTube? What is it for you? Think about if you were to actually go out and change your behavior and do a little bit of practice, even 15, 20 minutes of it on your own, how could you reward yourself? So maybe you get to play your video games a little bit longer that night. Or what could be the reward for doing the practice? Maybe you see an improvement in your skills, or maybe you master something. So step 3 in changing that habit is thinking about the reward. All right, so go back and watch parts 1, 2 to be previous, and then now you're at step 3. And then the next video is going to talk about part 4 of a habit, and that will be the belief. This is Dr. Megan Buning with FSU Coach, and I'll see you in the next video.